how'd you go from a guy who was just making videos to all of a sudden now Casey Neistat is your friend and mentor? I mean, like a lot of people would dream of being in
Yeah,
that scenario
yeah.
themselves.
He is my mentor. It's crazy. I text him all the time, and we're really good friends. Spend a lot of time with him. He's back in the city now, so we'll start running a lot. We've actually already started talking about that. We got to get ready for New York City Marathon. The crazy thing, and like going back to the Twitter lottery, is the Venice skate park video arguably opened up so many doors and changed the trajectory of my life so quick because of the people that followed me on Twitter after that video went viral. And one of those people was Casey. And I remember he followed me and DM'd me. And I was like, hey, I've been watching your videos forever. I think we should go surfing or go running. I forget what it exactly was. We should meet up. And we started communicating. And we were both living in LA at the same time. And LA was going through like the worst it's ever been with COVID lockdowns. We were both in Venice Beach. It was madness. There was Casey's tweet was basically, why are we filling a skate park with sand when there are thousands of homeless people living in tents on the boardwalk, that the money and the time and the effort that's going to stop people from going to skateboard could be going to impact people's lives that are struggling in front of a skate park. And it went, his tweet also went viral. It had huge numbers. And as a creator I've looked up to, I was like, whoa, this is like a huge moment. Like this person's now following me. I can DM them. I can talk to them. And I just reached out, or he reached out. I can't remember. I could probably go back and find it. And then we just started texting and became friends. Went surfing. It was actually the first time we met up. I was surfing with him and Cody Ko at Venice. And it was like so casual. We were just out there. And it was a cool moment. And then it kept evolving. So like the pesto company ultimately didn't work out, but he loved the pesto. So did his wife. And one day he gave us a shout out for Black Market Pesto. And I think we had like 200 Instagram followers at the time. It went to 600 or 700 and had hundreds of orders at the time. It was so illegal. We should never have shipped that item. I'm so happy no one got sick. We had this great product, but we couldn't figure out how to scale it and make it. And that kept like furthering our friendship. And I went to his house in Santa Monica, dropped off pesto. One time I was in LA, and he always just was a really cool guy to me and really nice and wanted to help anyway. And there was a time, this was actually probably if I looked on my phone 1 year ago today, and he came to my house in San Diego. I was living with my dad at the time to borrow batteries. And I had woken up at like 10:30, was wearing shorts, walk outside to get him batteries. Hair's a mess. He's like, bro, what are you doing here? Why are you living in this retirement community neighborhood? What are you, like, just hanging out? You're not working. You need to get your ass to New York and throw yourself in the fire. And like, you'll actually, you have too much ambition and skills to be stuck here in San Diego, not pushing 110%. And it was kind of in that moment I had this like slap in the face realization. This was in front of our friend Jordan. Jordan's a savage TikTok creator. Jordan stuttered. And I was like, whoa. Casey just gave me this like reality check that no one has ever given me or no one would ever say. And I felt very stagnant in San Diego. And I don't think I was living the way I should have, especially as productive or focused as I could have been. And after Casey left, I was like, yeah, maybe I'll just text him, see like if I could move to New York and work with him. It'd be kind of cool. And I texted him and I got ghosted like really hard. I think I got a response 2 or 3 weeks later. And it's like, hey, I wasn't ignoring you. I just have been busy traveling or whatever. And he was like, yeah, how fast can you get out here? And when can you move? And it's like in that moment, I was like, oh, cool. Like, I'm definitely about to move to New York. But I responded, I had an elk hunt at the end of September, a bow hunt last year, which it was a cool moment to get an elk. And I went on the bow hunt, and then I came back, and I sold everything I owned, and I moved to New York October 6th, got off the plane, didn't have a place to stay, threw all my stuff in a friend's house, and I went to film with Casey, and we made the first video together that we worked on. It was Insta360 New York City. It was a brand deal video. Did millions of views. It was a crazy moment. It was our first time working together, yelling at each other, arguing, like not arguing, but kind of funny how it is. Like sometimes when we work together, we get irritated at each other because we want the perfect shot. And if you're not getting a good shot, you reshoot the shot. And Casey's one of those people who would really like to get the shot the first try. And sometimes if it's a technical shot, it could take 45 minutes and a lot of yelling. But
what have you learned from working with him and from being so close to him and spending so much time with him?
Yeah, he moves quick, and I believe that one of his biggest strengths is that he moves quick and he's focused, and he's very methodical in the way that he produces his videos. He tries to film every scene in order that he would edit it. So start to finish of a video, you would film scene 1 in order, and then scene 2, and then scene 3. So when you go back to edit, hopefully, all your scenes are in order. And ideally, like if you go out and film a video in 2 to 4 hours, you get all your shots, and then you can come home and edit for a day or two. And then his focus is, okay, if we're out filming, and we're only filming, and we're focused on filming, and we're going from location to location as quick as possible to get each shot. And then the editing process is, at the time, it was do not bother me. Go in the other room. Like there was another room. I had my own part in his studio, and he would be sitting and editing, and I would just have a task to work on. And it could have been like mopping the floors, or it could have been organizing all the camera gear, or it could have been cleaning. Or the biggest thing I did for the most part, he gets so many things shipped to him. I broke down so much cardboard. Every single box. There'd be like hundreds of boxes stacked up. Like when I first moved out here and worked with him, when we weren't filming, I organized and like categorized everything that was in boxes because he was gone for 3 years. So imagine coming back after moving to California. He'd only been back a few weeks, and his studio was a mess. And he wanted to rebuild the whole thing. And you'll notice through the progression of, I believe, like October to now, the studio has completely changed. And I still remember, like, I was going to the hardware store, getting like big pieces of wood and pushing them on a dolly like 4 blocks up the street when I got out here, like carrying plywood up the staircase so we could build out his new studio, because he took down a wall and now has 2 spaces combined. And the focus level of a high performer like that is when focus is disrupted, everything is delayed. So if you know you can get something done in one day, and you know with pure focus it can be done in one day, but then you throw in all these other little distractions, it's going to take 2 days, maybe 3 days. And that's something that I've applied to my business, is like if I sit down and focus even for an hour, 2 hours straight, no phone, no Twitter, like whatever I need to work on, that can potentially be a full day's worth of work just by eliminating distractions. And that it's a common denominator across every high performer, is their ability to be disciplined with focus. And I know the same goes for George Heaton, who I look up to as a builder. And the focus of the task you're on, that's the only focus you're going to be focused on. Like if you're working out for 2 hours in the morning, your entire focus is that 2-hour workout. If you're designing a clothing or a video for 3 hours, your entire focus should be that video or clothing design for 3 hours. Every time you break it up, your creative thoughts are going to go away, or they're going to be manipulated.
What have you done as somebody who I know is your mind goes in 17 different directions? How have you practically gotten better at that focus, muscle, and skill?
I can run for 3 hours without headphones in. And that has become one of those things where when I go run at night at sunset, it's because I'm breaking up between what I worked on during the day. I'm going to go run, and then I'm going to lock in and focus at night. And I might work from 8 to midnight, because that time at the end of the day, before I go to bed, after I work out, I find myself to really be able to focus with no distractions. And same within the morning. If I wake up and run and get my exercise out of the way, I'm not thinking about exercise later, and then I can tap into focus. And it really, like, one thing is I have become very organized with all the projects and tasks I'm working on in a CRM. So I can visualize and see everything that needs to be done with a start date and when it needs to be finished. and it's mapped out. So I can then allocate, okay, this project's going to take 8 hours, this project's going to take 20 hours, and put that time into making sure that I'm blocking off the time I need to focus on those projects. And I mean, I love Do Not Disturb. That's one of the greatest, because the notifications is I think one of the worst mental distractions. That sound effect, the buzz, and also just kind of being a bit like knowing most people I work with they don't work on the weekends, client side and my team. So it's like Monday through Friday, really being tapped in is if I'm organized on every Sunday, which I try and organize my entire week on Sunday, then I know exactly when I wake up today, Monday morning, what needs to be done the entire week, except for the new meetings that will come in that week. And those are the biggest, I would say, almost distraction from focusing on work is you still have to do sales and run the business side. And to take a 30-minute or hour Zoom, it really has to be worth it now because that is going to disrupt time that could be working for existing clients or on existing videos or projects that are open.
Okay, so you're talking about the business, and it's funny because you come into New York City and you're working for Casey, and it wasn't a plan the plan was moving here like you're working for Casey. So then how does the business start? And at what point do you realize, oh, wow, I don't want to be working just for Casey forever?
Probably like the first week. Like I wanted to just be friends with Casey, not an employee. I don't really want to work. Since I've left working for the NFL, I haven't worked for anyone, and I've understood the freelancing game, but I didn't understand at the time the best avenue to take with it or where I could excel at it. And working with Casey is great. You can learn a lot from him. He makes incredible videos. He is, I would argue, like he created and is like the face of vlogging and one of the innovators and pioneers of YouTube. And don't get me wrong, I loved running around and being outside and filming, but I didn't love being in the office, breaking down boxes and mopping and doing these things that my time personally and what I would rather do. I would value 4 or 5 hours in my day working on my own business than doing janitorial tasks. And I still did it because had the opportunity to work alongside him and learn from him. But every single day I went home, I was like, I need to build something in New York, like what I was doing when I was in LA. I had a bunch of freelance work, and it was because I was just consistently pushing people to work with them, like constantly reaching out and asking, but bringing them something that was catered to them. And I think like now I still, for fun, go work with Casey. I don't, like he says, hey, you want to make a video? Yeah, we'll go make a video. Like we had sometimes now like personality in the videos, sometimes filming. We done some cool videos. The Chat GPT video was the first project that I filmed it with him. And then my team came in and we designed and did all the Chat GPT animation. So he finished editing, then he handed us the project file and then let us go full creative freedom to create this Chat GPT box. And that's like been, I think, one of the coolest videos we've done because it was literally asking Chat GPT, write a Casey Neistat script and then clicked print and then took that and then went and filmed every single thing that it said on that script to bring it to life.
I mean, this is the craziest thing. You went from moving to New York City to work for somebody to then working with them in a business capacity within a year. I mean, like, that's a pretty crazy thing. It's like not only was Casey a mentor, he was also now somebody who you're working with as a business partner in some way. And that's like,
yeah,
that's everyone's dream, I feel like.
Dude, whenever I was like when the business was blowing up, I always went in this is his old studio. This is the Beam studio, and he's 5 feet away. Like, I can go knock on his door in 10 seconds. So whenever I was like getting these big companies and deals coming through, I'd go over there and be like, Casey, how do I respond to this? Like, how would you formulate a response for this brand or company? They're asking for videos. What would you quote or how would you respond? And then sit there he would just tell me all these things. I would try and remember it all. And I'm like, okay, I only remember half of it because there's so much information. Try and simplify what he said and then run back to my studio and type an email, read it a few times and click send. And then wait for a response and then screenshot the response and send it to Casey. So it became this like really great mentorship. And I like to this day, I want to help him with anything that he needs help on and would love to continue building and wherever our paths continue to cross. I'm really grateful that I have the opportunity to be around him and work with him and just to be able to ask him questions. And he's a savage athlete. And we both know that when we run together, we push each other because we don't talk. It's like no talking. Runnings are zen. Runnings are let's push our bodies and see how hard we could run 15 miles. It's like one day we ran 20 something miles together casually and then had a steak dinner. And I'm just like, that was a good day. That was a hard day, but it was fun. And it's cool. It's really cool to have a creator that is willing to, I think, help like the next generation. And he just being around him, he helps a lot of people. And he's a really good dude.
If you enjoyed this clip, watch the full episode right over here, and don't forget to subscribe.